Hello gamers, welcome back to the channel. Today we got a really special video. Probably tell because I'm voicing it over for once. This one's been on the back burner for a while, but it's 007 Nightfire hacks. And not just any hacks, hacks programmed by yours truly. We got several hacks going down the list today, but a few things to note beforehand. That one, I wrote all these in Gecko, so these aren't action replay codes. You'll need to load them on a Nintendo Wii or Dolphin emulator. I tested all of them on hardware and Dolphin, so no matter what platform you're playing on, they should work. All hacks are going to be in the description, but also most of them are on my gamehacking.org account, Lakitu64, under the same name as the channel. If I end up making any future hacks, I'll put them there too. And if you got any cool ideas for hacks for this game, put them in the comments. We'll see, maybe I'll make some of them. I'm a little rusty. I made all these hacks in like 2019, but I'll relearn. We can try to have some more fun with this classic game. But yeah, let's get into it. As you might have noticed in the intro, our first hack is Invincibility. Works just how you expect. Enemies can't kill me, but I could still blow them to smithereens just like that. Only caveats with this code is that it affects all 4 players in multiplayer. So sadly, you can't just make yourself invincible and kill all of your friends. And because of the way the code works, the health bar might be messed up when playing on like a 20% or a 200% health. The reason that happens is because the way I wrote the code is that every time the game goes to subtract health from me, I reset the health value to 100. So if you're playing on 200% health, it gets reset back to 100, which will cut your health bar in half. But it doesn't affect gameplay or anything, so I didn't really worry about it too much. The only problem I had with this code during development was the driving stages. This code would crash all the time on the driving stages. And that's because of something called registers. On the GameCube and Wii's processor, you have 31 registers that look like this. A register is essentially a place where the processor can store information temporarily to execute later. When you're writing your code, you have to pick one of these registers to put your code in temporarily so it can be executed. I ended up picking register 14, just out of thin air. The problem with that is that there's this chart on mkwii.com that I eventually discovered after debugging this for hours, that not all registers are made equal on the GameCube and Wii. And as you can see here, 14 through 31, that 14 we have, are non-volatile registers. These ones kind of work, but also are prone to crashing a lot, which is exactly my issue. So switching that over to 11, which I then used for every other code, fix that issue right up. But yeah, shout out to MarioKartWii.com. If you want to learn how to make any of these hacks for the GameCube, Wii, Wii U, this is the website to do it. Everything I learned to make this video was done here. But no, shout out's done. Yeah, it's just basic invincibility. You can even walk into the death barrier and you won't die. I can crouch under the water. My controller's vibrating like crazy down here. But let's move on to the more interesting ones. After doing infinite health, I decided to stick in that same vein and do infinite ammo next, keeping it basic. Hack functions exactly as you think it would. Whenever the game tries to subtract from my ammo count, I just tell it not to. The only side effect of this approach is that it adds 1 to the ammo counter, so I got 31 bullets there when I should have 30. But it's just a visual bug. It's not that big, so I didn't bother fixing it. But yeah, the only exception to this is the Samurai. It already has infinite ammo, so it's unaffected by the infinite ammo hack. It does have another visual bug where the charge says 100, even though it's supposed to say 0 sometimes. Other than that, flawless. You can even use it on stuff like frag grenades, although your hand does get put away. And the Ronin. I love using this with the Ronin because you can just slap it down and it explodes when you have 2 of them, so you can just use them. Is like C4 mines. Really fun to mess around with. This hack is going to come in handy later in the video. We're going to be combining some of these hacks at the end, and infinite ammo is the most fun to combine with what we're about to see. So be prepared for that. This next hack here is another classic video game hack. Beam moonjump. You still take fall damage, so it's best to pair this one with invincibility. The way it works is that when the Y button's being held, which I detect with the button activator, I set the vertical velocity to a higher value. I'll put it on screen in the description. I have a second variant of this hack where you can fill in the velocity value blank and set the jump height to whatever you want it to be. This one's more of a single player hack, I'm going to be honest. We're a multiplayer here, so I can show you why it's a single player hack. I just got to find a opponent real quick. Here we go. You can see how they kind of jolt whenever I press the Y button. It's a little buggy, and when you're playing against friends, it will affect everybody. So if I press Y as player 1, player 2 is gonna fly too. So this is a single player only hack, but it is kind of cool just to be able to go into all the maps and jump around and go on roofs you're not supposed to be on. Why, even up here has collision. Who would have guessed? I can sit on top of the tower and skyrail and shoot down at all my opponents. Man, now that I'm up here, I wish this were actually in the game. But yeah, I'd take this one. I'd go explore. I haven't found anything super cool other than this spot, but there's probably a lot of stuff in single player you can find with this. Alright, this is going to be a quickie. It's the opposite of moonjump. This is no jumping. It does affect all players in multiplayer, so you can have a no jumping classic shooter match with your friends. Other than that, it's kind of useless. It's just a meme one. Functions the same way as moonjumping, except you're setting the velocity to 0 instead of 10. There's not much to say about this one, so I'll move on real quick. Here's another smaller hack that is useful. It's you don't put your gun away when you run out of ammo. Normally, when you run out of ammo and you hit 0, you'll switch weapons immediately. This allows you to hold the gun in your hand even without any ammo. I try to fire, nothing happens. This is important only when really using the smoke grenade or any other throwable grenade with the infinite ammo hack, because usually you'll throw it and then you'll switch to another weapon immediately after you throw it. But with this hack, I can throw grenades back to back as much as I want with the infinite ammo hack. It makes it a lot more seamless experience. Other than that, yeah, we'll need it later, so I'm mentioning it, but it's not that interesting. This is one of the coolest, but also most complicated to explain hacks on the list. It's a weapon select. It allows you to load into the map with any gun in the game. The caveats to this are that in single player, the gun has to be on the map already. What I mean by this is, like, let's say level 2. Level 2 doesn't have a grenade launcher item in the level. So if I try to load into the grenade launcher to level 2, it's going to crash the game. But if I load in any other weapon, like the pistol you normally start with, that's fine. That's the reason I labeled it multiplayer only, is because in multiplayer, every single weapon in the game is loaded in the memory, except for one, being the tranquilizer gun. It's a single player weapon from Drax Tower, where you use it to pacify enemies. I'm assuming that's just not here because it would probably crash the game if you shot another player with it, because it was only intended to be used on bots. But other than that, you can load in any weapon in the game, including these beta items, which is what I've been holding this whole time, the Q-Pen. There's 3 beta weapons that this is really cool to use on. It's the Q-Pen, the torpedo launcher, and the flare gun. There's also some single player weapons you can bring into multiplayer. I think there's armor piercing rounds on the sniper. That's considered its own gun. The way the ID system works is, like, let's say you got a weapon where you change modes, like the samurai where you change it into overdrive mode. Oh, here's a good example, the shotgun. So, like, see how I'm in pump and I change it to auto? The game considers that 2 different guns that just happen to use the same ammo type. So these have their own unique IDs, which is why you can load in, like, the armor piercing rounds from single player into multiplayer with this hack too. Other than those 4 examples, the unused weapons and the armor piercing rounds, I don't think there's anything crazy interesting you can do with this. But as you can see, there's one problem if we go back to our Q pen. And that's that we have 0 bullets. Now, for every other weapon in the game besides the Q pen, this wouldn't be an issue because you could just walk around the map and find that same gun and just pick up ammo for it. But because we can't do that, I had to get pretty creative with this. And my solution involves pressing Z and L at the same time. You get 99 bullets. This works for any weapon as long as this hack's active, because any weapon you load in is going to spawn in with 0 bullets. Because when you walk over a gun, you're not just collecting that gun, you're collecting an ammo item that's on top of the gun's model. So they're both, like right now, there's a second item inside this sniper that I'm also picking up that gives me the ammo for it. Now, how I got the game to put 99 rounds in the chamber for any item, I honestly don't remember. I just remember it's really complicated, and most importantly, it was really buggy, which is why it's a button activator and doesn't happen automatically. So I wouldn't recommend playing the whole game while holding down Z and L, because you're probably going to run into some bugs if you hold it down too long. But if you just tap it and turn it on to get your ammo, it will work fine. But yeah, that's get any gun in the game. I highly recommend for those other weapons that you go and try them out. I got their IDs in the description for this hack. This one right here, probably the hardest hack to make. I call it camera mode modifier. It's a little hard to explain, so I'll just show you. What you want to do is hold down the L button and then press either up or down on the D-pad. This is going to cycle through multiple different camera modes that are in the game. So right now I'm holding down L, I'll press up on the D-pad, and now we're playing the camera's perspective for when you win a game in multiplayer and the camera rotates around you during the victory screen. I can keep going up on this list, even getting third person mode unlocked. Really cool. And there's a ton of weird perspectives until you eventually get out of bounds. Like this, if you were on a console, this would crash it. This is not, only the emulators making this make sense. Other than the game crashing if you go too far, the only other issue is in multiplayer, the camera's the same for everybody, so you can't have one person be third person and one person be first person. But you can have everybody be third person and have a third person battle outside of that mode, because I'm pretty sure that's already a mode in the game. But you can go up the thing and then you can go all the way back down and toggle it till you're back to normal. Simple as that. Although the code behind it is not simple. How this one works is there's a singular memory address, like a value for your camera perspective. In changing that isn't hard. You just change it from a 1 to a 2 to a 3 or whatever you want. But to make it a cyclable list, like you see here, what's going on is that you're taking that memory address and I'm either adding or subtracting 1 depending on what D-pad input the player's doing, and I'm storing it way further in the game's memory where the game's not using that part of the memory. And then when the L button's pressed, which is usually held down already by the player, it's going to take that +1 value and load it back into the original memory address, which then changes your value. It's a little complicated, but it really doesn't make a difference for using the hack. But that's an overview of how it works. Honestly, this one is just so much fun to mess around with. It's one of my favorites. You should give it a try. I love it. Alright, I've been saving the best for last here. We got 2 more hacks that kind of work together, so I'll show you this one, and then I'll add the other one on top of it. You'll see how they work together here in a sec, but I call this full auto plus mode. Essentially, when you take a fully automatic weapon and shoot it, you just mag dump. Every single frame, this is shooting a bullet, which is the fastest I could get it to go. Even for other semi-automatic weapons that don't have animations, you can trigger finger as fast as you can and there's no limitation. You could shoot every frame and it would count. This one, it's pretty basic in how it works. There's a counter that goes on every time you shoot your gun that determines the time to shoot the next gun, and we just set that to whatever value that it wants to consider itself to be completed. And by doing that, it just skips the whole wait cycle and allows you to shoot as much as you want. But the only problem with this is if the weapon has an animation, like say grenades or sniper rifles, the animation takes longer than the cooldown time, because there's two values. You have the time it takes your animation to finish plus the shoot again timer. Both of those have to be completed for you to be able to use your next throwable or shoot your next shot. And that's what the next hack is, which is remove weapon animations. I got that loaded up now on top of the full auto plus mod, and every time I change my guns, instantly. Want to go to, oh, I don't have grappling hook enabled, but that would go instantly too. And that also goes for when I shoot, which now my gun doesn't move, so the animation timer finishes instantly. And then that other mod we did to modify the shoot again timer are both satisfied. So now we can take all those weapons that weren't compatible. I think the grenade launcher, yeah, like this grenade launcher that has an animation, and we could just spam it as much as we want. I want to find another weapon. Trip bombs are even better. You can just instant toss. Don't even have to put it on the wall. This one is so much fun with friends. But there's one thing that makes it even better, and that's adding the infinite ammo code. You thought I forgot about it. I told you it would be important later. This, on top of no animations, on top of full auto plus, allows you to do stuff like this. And yet this gun sucks so bad, it still can't even kill Burton over there. No, this is amazing. You can do it with any weapon in the game. Oh, I will warn you, the Sentinel is not great. The missiles will spawn inside of each other and just blow up on you. Although with the Scorpion, since that's semi-auto, you can actually just single tap that and keep control. Let's see what other weapons we got. I want to find a sniper. Those are so much fun. Having no delay, you can just quickscope everyone. Well, we'll give it one shot. If not, you guys can go and experiment with yourself and have fun with it. There we go. You probably can't even see it. You can only see the particle effects on the wall there. But I can spam the Lord out of the sniper and it doesn't even flinch. What's also good though, and I've been saving best for last here, is the AIMS 20 on grenade mode with all three of these codes active. If you play this on an actual console, it surprisingly won't crash. It will lag pretty hard, but it won't crash. That's one grenade every single frame. Absolutely beautiful. But you might have noticed the one problem with this code. Specifically the full auto code. For some reason, it makes the enemies not respawn. You can push around their bodies as much as you want, but they'll never come back to life. So this is kind of a play in single player or play with your friends kind of code. Yeah, there's nothing really special behind how any of those three work. I did have to tinker around with them a little bit to get them to all work together without crashing. I could have made it all one big code, but I kind of thought it would be better to separate it out. You can kind of choose your own game mode or experience. No, this one, if I knew other people who played this game, I would be playing this all the time. It looks like so much fun. And yeah, that's the final hack. I don't really got anything special to say. But if you have any suggestions, put them in the comments. I might be down to make it. Maybe make a follow-up video one day with a second set of hacks once we make some more. Or not. It depends. Anyways, have a good one. See you in the next video.